Hey UConn Nation, it's KK Arnold here. If you're looking for the latest UConn women's basketball content, go subscribe to Listen Up to Phil and Ryan. Go Huskies!
Phil and Ryan, listen up. Ryan, I'll leave it to you on this one. I know you're back from Vegas. We already welcomed you home. Thank you, KK, as always. Look, Ryan, we appreciate everybody for joining us. This is kind of special, right? I always announce to you, I hope that you turned the calendar this morning when you woke up because it is goodbye May, hello June the 1st. Oh, boy. And that just means that's a day closer to November, right? A day closer to when we can finally get NCAA women's basketball back in action. Ryan, just very quickly, we want to announce the winner of our t-shirt trivia question, but I don't know if you have his name or not, but even if you don't, we'll get the t-shirt out to him. But I don't know if you wanted to explain why it was late.
Yeah, Arthur was the actual winner for the trivia.
Well, and not to cut you off, the answer, tell him the answer too.
Yeah, the answer was the one and only Morgan Valley. So that was the answer to that one. Probably do another one in the upcoming weeks,
Oh
but
yeah.
yeah, unfortunately we didn't have the size and stock that he asked for, so I had to go and order some. So it took a little bit for them to arrive. So we'll have to send it off to get our logos put on the shirt. So we'll try to get it out to him as quick as possible. But yeah, like I said, hopefully we can do another one coming up here pretty soon.
All right, Ryan. Well, today's episode, we thank everyone for joining us around 10:30 this morning. Beautiful weather up here in Maryland, Ryan. If you haven't gotten out already, make sure you go outside today. UConn women's basketball to face Iowa State in Basketball Hall of Fame Women's Showcase. Now, if you ask me, before we get down into your beautiful comments, as always, if you ask me, this is, and by the way, I like the UConn women's basketball. I don't know if you saw, Ryan, their ex a post after this was announced. Nice picture of KK dribbling the ball up the court, right? And then I believe it's Yana Al-Alfi on the bottom of the picture. It's advertising December 17th versus Iowa State, and Yana Al-Alfi fired up at the bottom, right? So, all right, Ryan, my 2 cents. This is actually a very underrated game, if you will. I think that this team right here. Now, a lot of people say, "Nah, Phil, you don't know." I think, Ryan, this team right here, and again, I didn't think about it until it got announced. Um, this Iowa State team could give UConn some problems, and I'm crossing my fingers that we don't want anything to do with them when March rolls around next year.
Well, I think it's great that UConn continues to add some of these great teams to their non-conference schedule, especially in these women's showcase games, because each year it just gives the fans something to look forward to. And of course, like
Mm-hmm.
I said, it adds another top-tier team to our non-conference schedule. So we already know that UConn's going to be playing South Carolina, USC, Notre Dame. I think we also got South Florida, Tennessee, North Carolina, and Louisville on the schedule for this upcoming season. And I think UConn still has two more spots left to fill for their non-conference schedule for the 2024 to 25 season. But I do want to dive a little bit more into this matchup between the Cyclones on December 17th. It's on a Tuesday, which is a little weird. I thought it was usually on a Saturday or Sunday, but it will be Tuesday this year. But because Iowa State's, they're expected to be a top 15 preseason team, so they're definitely no pushover. Of course, like you mentioned, had a pretty good March Madness game in the first round. Of course, Audi Crooks put up that 40 piece, the big bomb. I think she went 18 for 20 in that game. Might have had a double double to go along with that performance too. She averaged 19 points for the Cyclones as well last year, so definitely Audi Crooks is looking to have a similar repeat performance as she starts her sophomore campaign. But this is a team that also is bringing back Emily Ryan and Addie Brown, so two pretty talented guards. And of course, Audi Crooks is coming back. So I think this would be a great matchup. I think the Huskies, like you said, it definitely have their hands full with this one. And it's another great opponent that we can add. And I think there's another game as well before this matchup. So both games, I believe, are at the Mohegan Sun Arena. So I'm glad we get
Yeah.
to have these great teams also kind of surrounding the UConn area. So think it's a great event. I'm glad UConn got to add Iowa State onto their non-conference schedule, and it's another one I can't wait to see. I'm gonna have to circle this one as well on my calendar.
Yeah, Megan, hopefully I'm saying your last name right. Megan Gower. We thank her for bringing us this information. I'm going off of the UConn blog, Ryan. But yeah, Megan is right, by the way. I mean, you pointed it out, Ryan, about the freshman. It was the freshman, right? Audi Crooks.
Yeah,
And boy, did she go off. The freshman Audi Crooks, it says, who dazzled in the postseason of her freshman campaign, including a 40-point outing in the first round. Ryan, I mean, if you don't contain her, all right, watch out. That'll get you, if you're not prepared already for the WNBA, that'll get you prepared, won't it, Ryan? Let's go over to some comments, and then we will hop on out of here. This one was from Paige Bueckers' message to Edwards and Mule after WNBA matchup. Sarah says the reunion was so special. UConn family for life. Great update at the WNBA level. Always appreciate the content. Also, shout out to all the veterans and those who sacrificed their lives for our freedom. So thank you, Phil, for the quick moment of silence. The W is growing, and it's so amazing to be a part of it. Thanks to you two for spreading, I believe she meant to say, spreading the talent from the college game.
well, yeah, we're definitely trying. Of course, we love to spread the news of women's basketball. I think it's great that it's growing so much. Of course, we have the Golden State expansion team coming to the W. And I just saw the other day there's a league high 17 Huskies in the WNBA this season. I believe Tiffany Hayes recently got signed to the Aces. So 17 former UConn Huskies in the W. So more positive news there. So it's great to see all these former Husky players doing really good in the W. Of course, Dorka Juhas also recently came back from her injury. So I think she's played a couple games with Minnesota now. So I've been watching her, and hopefully she has another pretty good second year with the Minnesota Lynx.
I was watching her, by the way, last night. The games are now on my TV, some of them, and I thought about you. I was like, man, Dorka Juhas, the second year player. I was like, man, Ryan would be smiling from ear to ear right now. Ryan, some of the putbacks, some of the layups that she had, I believe it was against Phoenix last night. Oh my! I mean, former Huskies that are shining. Talk about shining in the W. Jason D'Amico said, well done, boys. To my brothers and sisters who served and to their families who endured the ultimate sacrifice, those debts can never be repaid. I am thankful and can only hope that my actions will make them proud of the country they left behind. Yo, if Paige needs a web developer to help her with her clothing startup, I am between jobs and actively looking. Get me while I am hot. And I have to admit, seeing Aaliyah and Nika hugging each other in the pros made me a bit teary-eyed. Peace.
Well, maybe when we make the trip back up to UConn, we can put in a word for Jason to Paige to try to try to get those two together, and maybe they can make something work in Paige's fashion era that she's trying to go through. So maybe we can try to hook up Jason. But yeah, it was a special moment. So I think it's a special moment anytime Husky players are able to face one another especially when they play all 4 years together, like Nika and Aaliyah did. So it's a pretty special moment.
I was going to wait and text you earlier this week or give you a call like I always do and discuss this privately, off the record, as they call it. But now that we're on audio, I might as well, and since it's your team, and since one of our subs, our beautiful subs, came through and commented about this, not really nothing to do with UConn now, but I mean, this is your team. So, Ryan, I apologize for putting you on the spot, but the disruptive one said, I am concerned about Lou. She seems like a strong candidate to be waived out of Dallas, referring to the Dallas Wings.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Wings have been struggling a little bit this season. 3-3. They almost pulled off the upset last night against the Sun, but Connecticut still remains undefeated. But the Wings sitting at 500 right now. Yeah, but Lou, unfortunately, I don't think it's really worked out. Last season, she was injured, and I believe she was out for the season. I believe. I don't think she played last year. But yeah, I mean, Dallas has a lot of talented players. They do have some injuries right now. I believe 2 or 3 injured players. So maybe Lou sticks it out a little while until they come back. But I can't say I really disagree. But hopefully Lou can find some playing time. Hopefully she finds her game, kind of like she did with UConn, and hopefully she can find some type of a role with the Wings.
Look, man, I don't want to come off smart at all, but man, they just do not want to see her in Washington, D.C. They just don't want to see it. Ryan, M. Parnell says Paige may go, and he brings up, or they bring up a good point. Paige may go #1 to that expansion Golden State franchise, in my opinion. See, now, Ryan, I'm so hyped about Washington finishing in last place, but yet I appreciate this person because I think what you might be guilty of it. You and I forgot about the expansion.
Yeah, it does bring up a pretty good point, and I guess they would get the first pick for next year's draft. So just have to see what happens, but it would be pretty interesting for a new expansion team to get a player like Paige Bueckers and kind of build their franchise, their brand new team around a special player like Paige.
All right, Ryan, break out that swimsuit, break out the swimming trunks, and June is the gateway to summer. Phil and Rye on Listen Up.